In this video, we'll complete the tracing exercise 5.2 from the textbook. I usually trace in a little bit of a different way than the textbook does. It's not that different, but it looks a little different on the page. Just because most of the time I find that I need to take up a little less space than the book takes up because I don't write super small. So you can take your choice about what you feel like, which method you feel like using. There's not one right way to trace. It's just a method of, it's your method of writing down the values and variables and how they change over time. So you have to be very organized in order to keep it all in your head. And the whole point of tracing is to not keep it in your head. Get it on the page so you don't have to keep it in your head. Okay, so here's the deal. We're starting out at main as usual because that's where Java programs start, and I will notate where I am by numbering the lines of code as they execute. Every time I see a variable declaration, now that I'm tracing, I'm going to write it up in a place where I have some space, and then I will put its value underneath it and just keep track of the values that are in it. So this is what tracing is. The way that we can figure out what the state of a program is at any given time is by tracking the values and the variables. I mean, that's essentially the only state that there is. So that's what we're doing. And this is designed to not make any sense, so that you are just focusing on values flowing in and out of variables, and you're not thinking about what this program is trying to do. So shut your brain off, well, to some extent, and just track the values as they flow through the variables. Okay, line 2. Buzz. Okay, let's declare buzz. And it's got a 2 in it. And now at line 3, we are calling zoop. So here's a method call. The just for value goes up into Fred, and the biz value goes up into Bob. Okay, I'm going to delete these arrows because it gets confusing to look at, but this is where that data is flowing. So okay, so that means that I'm going to head up to Zoop, and now in Zoop I've got a couple more variables. Now if you feel like putting them all in one place, you can do that. If you want to put them in a different zone because they're in the Zoop method, that's okay. I'm going to see if I have enough room to do them all in a line like this. We'll see how I do. Okay, so this, I'll just say this is Zoop, and this is Fred, and I see that I have Fred and Bob. Okay, so Fred gets the word just for. Whoops, this is going to be tough. Just for. And Bob gets whatever was in biz before, which was 5. Bob and biz are 2 different variables, and so their values will change independently. Okay, so that means that I have now arrived here. I've set up my variables, and I am at step 4, which is to print out whatever is in Fred. So also part of the trace is I want to have a place where I can track output. So usually I'll just like write a place for that, and then put a line, and then write my output out. So system.out.println Fred. Okay, so I'm going to say just for, and then number 5, it will says if Bob equals 5. Yes, Bob does equal 5. So that means I get to go in here for number 6, and which is a call to the ping method. Where's ping? Way down at the bottom. And it sends the word not with a space. So that means I'm going to go down here, and it looks like I have strong. Let's make a place for ping. And strong is its variable. And it's putting in that value from line 6 where it is not plus a space. If you want to put in an underscore here when you're tracking, you can. That's fine. Just to remind yourself that there's a space here. It's a little hard to draw for me in Acrobat. Okay, so now I'm down here and I'm at line 7. System out of println, any plus whatever value's in there plus more. Okay. So at the end, just for had a print line after it. Forgot to note that. So we're going to print a fresh line that says any add on not, which has a space after it, any not more. Okay, and then there's a new line at the end. Okay. Now we're done with ping, so we go back to, let's see, step 6. That was where I called ping. Because I went into the if, I skipped the else, which means I'm now done with Zoop. So I'm going to return to, looks like, step 3, which is where I called Zoop. And my next line is going to be 8, where I'm about to call Clink. So just circling back to the instructions, I think I'm supposed to keep track of the second call of Zoop. Let's see, it says second time Zoop is invoked. Okay, so that was one time. Now I'm in Clink. So Clink is down here. Clink has a fork. I've run out of space on the right hand side, so I'm going to head over to the left and make Clink here. This never quite works perfectly, but that's okay. And Clink has fork, right? Ah. 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 Okay. Okay. For Clink, I'm sending in 2 times buzz, so that means I have to go up to buzz and say, okay, that's 2 times 2 is 4. So for fork, I'm sending in a 4. Because I take this 2 times 2, 4, and that 4 flows into fork when I call Clink. For step 9, I print out its, or I print with a space, and then step 10, I'll just remind myself that there's a space here. And then for step 10, I call Zoop, aha, for the second time with the words breakfast and fork. So this one has breakfast in it. And whatever the value is in fork for that second parameter. The current value of fork I see is 4, so that means that when I call Zoop, Bob becomes a 4. Okay, now I'm in the second time through Zoop. And I'm at step 11. Where I print out Fred, which is breakfast. And then it looks like I print that with a new line. At step 12, I test to see if Bob is equal to 5. Bob is not equal to 5. It's equal to 4. So I end up going here for step 13, which is system.println with an exclamation point. So I print out an exclamation point like that. And then I'm done. So I'm looking back for step 10. Here was step 10 where I was waiting for Zoop. Okay, I'm done here. So now I'm looking for step 8, which is when I called Clink. Now I'm done with this. So I'm looking for, looks like I'm actually completely done. Wonderful. Done and done. So if I were looking for the state of the program, at the second time Zoop is called, this is the state of the program at the time Zoop is called. If you can also include output in that, I suppose, which would be this business. But the actual program state captured in variables is up here. Let's go on to the next part.